Hi, I'm Grace Lynch. Welcome to my channel. I'm not sure if the clock had started. Uh, anyway, this is going to be a video about, I decided to make some videos about things that I find that I have to process that I have not found my way through yet. Things that I have become aware of that I don't know how to sort out in my working out how to become part of the world again. There's been a lot to figure out. One of the most difficult things has been in terms of trauma because I don't have a context for it. When I went through hundreds of hours of traditional talk therapy before any of us knew that I had autism or brain injury or aphasia or even formally diagnosed with PTSD, the sense that I got of how to work with trauma was to find a narrative to describe what happened in the situation, and then use the context mind to uh, reestablish perspective, so that to try to make it so that the thing that happened was very significant, but relativize it to most other experiences to get the sense that kind of disempower the impact of it contextually to make it like that was an extraordinary circumstance. Those things don't usually happen. The world we usually live in is this calmer, safer one. And then that kind of mentality got established with the therapist, and then that kind of became the sense of the orientation to how to work through trauma. And at least that was that was the understanding that I got. And the challenge for that was that the core of my thing that I need to resolve now and work my way through wasn't a one-time event. It was an event that started in 1987 and did not fully resolve itself until one day in the summer of 2018. All of that experience is from my perspective, from the inside, it was one continuous thing because I could not track back to context mind to do that trick. So I haven't, the struggle has been trusting my way of grappling with trauma as it happens to me. And that's a kind of a special case of the struggle I have with grappling with my emotional situation. And the part I can't get my mind around is that I've seen in the world a predisposition to consider emotions as a consequence of thought, and thought as a consequence of belief. And I understand that that works for some people, and I'm glad that they have ways that work for them. The difficulty that I have in terms of having to climb back up into language from languagelessness, from raw experience, has been that it doesn't look like that mentality is possible, could possibly reconcile with the physical fact of how experience works, because the way that I reason this out, and I can't unsee this, and that's why I'm trying to figure out how to live with this awareness, but integrate back into a world that has the opposite. From my perspective, any feeling I have, any cognition I have about my feelings is word-based. I cognate about the feelings I have in order to process them by finding words for them. I either do that internally or I do that with other people. But it's all word-based. And the challenge for that is my experience with reacquiring language. From what I can understand, in order to find a word for something in my awareness, I have to have a physical experience in my body that my mind is struggling to find the word for. I can't find a word for an experience I don't have. So an experience happens that makes me angry, makes me sad, ashamed, afraid, happy, whatever that is. The physical sensation of the emotion has to happen in order to be there for my mind to notice it and wonder what the name of it is. I can't find any way around this. I have to have had the physical experience before I find the word for it. I can't do any of the cognitive things until I have the words. So it looks to me like there's a causal, like an unbreakable causal chain, so that the sensation has to happen to bump and generate the feeling, which the body, part of the sensation, it looks like the feeling is part of the experience the body has that the mind knows how to recognize. And so then sensation, which is being changed by the world, which is called experience, generates like that. Feelings are generated in that, and then the feeling is in the body to be noticed by the mind, to find a word for it, to cognate, to work out what I think about the feeling and what I believe about it, to work out behaviors and different things. But if that's all the case, and then that's a physical fact, it's an established fact, it's an irreversible fact, it's an unquestionable fact, because it's true of every feeling I've ever grappled with. I must have had the sensation before I found the word for it. And I couldn't do the cognition until I found the word for it. So it must be that the feeling happens before the word, which happens before the thought. If that's the case, then the notion that feeling follows from thought is impossible. The only way I can work out the narrative around thought causing feeling is if part of the thought generates an experience in the body. The act of the brain forming a kind of thought generates an experience in the body. The body has a sensation that then creates a feeling, which the mind then notices as another feeling, and then pretends that it's all the same feeling. But I don't see any way out of the box that that feeling comes before thought. And so it looks to me like the world narrative model for emotional health is belief causes thought, causes feeling, causes sensation. And the method of direct observation that I had to develop when I didn't have words, I still had a responsibility to sort out what my experience was. And I could feel my way through it because of some quirk of my autism. I just not been always able to look at sensations as a whole before I sort them out into little bits. And then in slowly working out and understanding what my sensations were, including the sensations of emotion, then that's how I built my understanding. And that's how it looked across the board. I would have the sensation, and then I'd have to look at how the situation is making me feel. This is especially key in doing some of my surviving abuse things and domestic violence things. I had to learn how to notice when I'm being hurt and then name that, and then understand my needs and name those things and find. So then I had to have sensation to create emotion, to build cognition, and then decide what I believe. And I'm finding it very, very difficult to find out how to contextualize my experience in a way that's going to be socially relevant to a world that seems to live inside a narrative that feelings follow from thoughts and beliefs rather than the other way around. I don't know if other autistic people experience this, but I do know that I do feel that the world that operates according to that top-down narrative, I do not feel like I got a chance to help build. And I do not feel like I got to add my voice. I don't feel like I was invited to decide what the norms are. I don't feel like I have seen that the autistic perspective matters in deciding what the psychological norms are, in orienting oneself to one's own belief, cognition, sensation, and emotion. So I'm struggling with that because I thought when I'm linking back up, I thought I'd just pick up the language tools the way the world does, and I find that the way the world seems to orient itself to feelings is an objectifying thing, a construct that doesn't match the physical fact of my own experience, and I struggle with that. It's an open thing for me, so I just thought I'd share it the world looks like it's in a box, and my experience doesn't happen that way, except for the box of what actually happened, literally. All right, see you next time.